Hello, welcome to Cloud Technologies. Thanks for watching our all videos and encouraging us. So we have started a new series of basic connectors. How you are going to use, how you are going to work all the basic connectors like file, email, database, and a couple of connectors. Okay. So in this video series, we have just started one application which are going to demonstrate how you are going to use file connector to do multiple operations on particular file by using your local path. Okay, so we have a lot of file connectors available in MuleSoft. A couple of them are FTP, SFTP, file. File connector is um, uh, 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 used to apply on the operations of that file in your local system path. So it won't be available for all the servers and all. But in your real-time projects, you can go through with the FTP, SFTP, Secured File Transfer Protocol, that is nothing but FTP. So in your real-time projects, you are going to use these type of connectors. Okay, so let's get started how we can do operations of your local files to read a file and write a file in this video part. We can see other operations in our next part of the video. Okay, so let's get started. To do that, to demonstrate these file operations, I have just created one sample project. It is just a basic project, nothing, there is no code in it. Okay, it's a basic project by taking file, new mule project. I have just named it as file operations demo, and it got created the project structure for me. Okay, so now let's see how you can read a file from your local path. Okay, to do that, we need to create one sample file and we need to save it in one particular location in your local system. You need to configure your file connector in Anypoint Studio with that local path where you have saved this file. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. So I just have this text file. This is my test file to read. This is my test file. This file I am going to use in my implementation to read this file content. Okay, for now I didn't save this file. Let us save it in a particular location and let's copy that location. So I'm saving it under E drive. E drive, I have a folder drive called file operations. Here I can create one new folder. I would like to give some meaningful name like file read. So inside that I would like to create a read file, read hyphen file. Okay, this is my input file path. So here I would like to save this file. So my file contain only this line of code. This is my text file to read. Okay, this file I am going to save under this location with the txt file extension. So input data file, I named it this .txt. So whenever you are going to save your file with the new extension, it's better to use your double quotes, so that will take the extension correctly. So just saved it. So now what you have to do, you need to just copy this path and copy it somewhere into Notepad. Okay, also you need to provide the file name as well. If you have to read only particular file in that path, let's say for example, if you have multiple files here, if you would like to read only one particular file, you need to mention that file with extension also in your path. So let's copy this file name as well. I'll show you how we can configure it in our Anypoint Studio. Okay, I just copied that file name and the extension is txt. Right, so now we are good with read file path. So let's go back to our studio. Let's drag and drop. See, file is a actually core component, so it is automatically added here. What happened in Mule 3? Currently we are using Mule 4 version, which is the latest version, latest runtime. Okay, so but before Mule 4 released, in Mule 3 runtime, file is not operational based. That is like that is only two connectors are available for file, like a read file, a write file, or move file, something. Those, that is not operational based, only one file connector we have, and we need to configure according to the operation which we are going to perform. But in Mule 4, if you can observe, for each and every operation we have a connector. Okay, file connector has become operational based connector in Mule 4. So what you have to do, you need to just navigate here, which is the operation you are going to perform as per your requirement. Then you can just directly drag and drop that file. And in Mule 3, one disadvantage is we cannot read the file in middle of the flow. We need to go for some custom Java code or something, some other scripting approach, something. But in Mule 4, which are we are currently using Mule 4, here if you can observe, here we have a read connector. You can drag and drop this read connector anywhere you want. You can read the file in middle of the flow, or end of the flow, or starting of the flow. Okay, so so our requirement is to read a file, right? So you can just drag and drop this connector. So by default, every connector will be used as a processor section, not a source section. If you would like to make this file read as a polar, you can use a scheduler under polar scope. Inside that you can use this read file. But just for make this simplicity, I will just make it as a HTTP flow only. Okay, so I'm just drag and drop the HTTP listener here. Let us drag and drop this. Yeah. So I would like to configure this HTTP connector first. Okay, so just click on this icon, and you can leave the host as it is, and you can just change the port just for your understanding. I am just giving 8776. You can give any number with the 4 digits, but you should not use 6666 because that is a debugger port which is allocated to MuleSoft debug process. So you should not use 6666. Other than that, you can give any 4 digits number, but while deploying it into Cloud Hub, while deploying it into VPC, it is always better or best to use the default port numbers only, which is for HTTP 8081 and HTTPS 8091 something. We have some rules and regulations to use these ports, and let's see those things in our best practices playlist. For now, you can just remember, you can use this host as it is. You can just give any other port which you would like to use, any 4 digit number. Okay, so I just clicked on OK here. Listener got configured. I'll just give a path for this HTTP flow, how we can read this. Okay, now I'll just simply say read file. This is my path. Okay, so that's it. I have configured my listener. Now I need to configure my file read connector, which is the major part of this video, right? So read file. And connector configuration is not a mandatory. You need to provide the read file path only, but just for as a habitual thing, we can just click on configure and click on OK. We don't need to configure anything here manually. You can just click it on and select that same defaults and accept it. Okay, and this is the major field you need to configure to read a file. So here, if you can observe, this is the file path. If you can just hover your mouse, it will show you the description. See, the path to the file to be read. So which file you are going to read, that path you need to mention here. So that is what we have captured here in this notepad, right? So we would like to read this file. Where that file is located? Under E drive. Under E drive, file operations, read, under read file folder, it has a input data file.txt. So this complete path we have already captured here in this notepad, right? So you can just copy this path. You can configure here. That's it. So we have configured our file connector as well. So now let's capture the response from that file connector. So or else you can just use one logger component just for your debugging understanding. Okay, you can just drag and drop the logger here before the file is reading. You can give any log message here just to make you understand. read file flow started. I'm just giving a simple message, and this hash is also not mandatory, just to differentiate the default logs. I have given it to differentiate this basic messages and all. You this is not a mandatory. You cannot, I mean, if you can, if you would like to ignore this, you can ignore this. You can directly give that text message here. Okay, and I have read file configured, and let's capture the response. So to capture any response or to transform anything, the best component to be used is transform message. Transform message, data view, both are same. So whenever you see transform message, you can just blindly remember that this is a data view. Okay. Okay, now, so by default, your data viewer transform message will come up with output format as application slash Java. Let's change this to JSON. And instead of doing any manipulations at this point, I'll just try to print my payload. Okay, what is payload? Payload is nothing but a response of previous connector. That's it, simple. You don't need to get confused anything here. Okay, so whenever you are going to capture a payload in any component, what it will bring the response of the previous connector. It won't give the complete business logic response. To get that, if this is your complete business logic, then you are fine. You can just drag and drop transform message and have a payload in your transform view logic here. But if you would like to capture the previous connector response, you can write a payload here in any of the flow. I mean, any stage of the flow. If you would like to capture, you can capture in this way. We can capture this payload in some of the variables. We can read it from the variables that we can see later one by one. Okay. So, what are the expectation once you test this flow? You need to test this flow with this endpoint and all. Then it will print the logger. It will read the file from your path you have mentioned. It will send a response by using this transform message. What is the response you are going to expect? The content of the file. That's it. Whatever the content available in this file, which means this input data file, it has a content like this is my test file to read, right? So the same content will be coming as a response for you once you test this flow. Good. Now let's save our changes. Let's deploy this application in your Anypoint Studio. So to do that, you need to right click on your project and go to run as and click on Mule application. So it will deploy in your local embedded server. So as we know already, Mule Anypoint Studio will come up with an embedded server installed in it, right? So it will deploy here. Let's wait this to be deployed. Yeah, this application got deployed now. Let's test this application, how the file is getting read. Okay, so to test this application, I'm going to use Postman tool here. Okay, so let me form the URL first. Okay, so here the listener with which port and host which you are configured, just let's check that first, and let's form the URL. Okay, so your path is /read file and your port is 8776. So you need to form a URL. In this case, it's a get method by default. So http localhost 8776 is your port, and you need to copy this path from here. So read file is your path, right? You need to copy it here. Likewise, you need to form the URL. Okay, now we are good to form the URL. Let's test our application. Okay, so once you test your application, what you are going to expect the file content of this file, the content of this file to be treated as coming up as a response for you. Okay, so just click send here. Yeah, you got the response, right? So this is the content available in your file. So you have successfully read the file from one location. Okay, let's see how we can write a file. Now I have read this file from file operations read file folder, right? So I would like to create one more folder here where write file. Okay, in this write file folder, I would like to create a new file by using my anypoint flow. That is nothing but a write file. Write file is nothing but creating a new file. Okay, so let's see how we can achieve that. For to achieve that, we have a write file operation. See, if you can click on file, you will find a write operation. Just drag and drop that right here. So double click on this. The connector configuration, you can refer the same thing which we have used for read file. And here this is the path where you are going to write a file and create a file. So in our case, we have created this path, right? So you can just copy paste this path here, and you can give the file name also here. For now, I can give it's like output file dot txt, or else you can give any other file name you want. Okay. So if you can observe the content section here, it is by default configured with payload, which is nothing but the actual payload from this read file will be returned to a new file. Okay, whenever you treat payload, as we discussed earlier, whenever you see payload in any of the component, that is a nothing that the payload is nothing but the response from the previous connector. So transform view is our previous connector to this write file. So what is the response here? What is the output from this transform view? This is the one, right? So this file, this content will be this content will be write to your new file, output file. If you would like to write a file, I mean, if you would like to create a file with some other new content, you can remove this payload here. You can give the content here. Directly, you can hard code it just for your testing purpose. Okay. So I am just giving this is my new file and welcome to MuleSoft file operations demo. So I have given these 2 lines content. So whenever I run this flow, whenever I test my application, okay, it will create a new file with the name output-file.txt. If you can observe here, we have just created the folder. We didn't create any file. So once you test your flow, it will create a file with output-file.txt with the content available here in this content box. In this case, we have given static content. So your file will get, this is my new file, welcome to the MuleSoft file operations demo. If you have pasted payload here, it will create a file with the same response from your previous connector. Okay. So let's test this once. Let's save this. Let's redeploy this application. Okay, I just saved my changes. Let's redeploy this application the same way. So once this application is getting deployed, then we are good to test our flow. But in this case, you need to remember we no need to change any port or path because we didn't change anything. Okay, in our implementation, we didn't change port or path. We just added one more connector, which is write file connector to the same flow. So you no need to change the endpoint. So here the endpoint will be same. Only thing is the response will be different, and we can expect one new file to be created into this file path. Okay, let's wait this to be deployed. Yeah, now it got deployed. Let's test this operation. So as we no need to change this file path and endpoint path or port, you can just test this as it is. But before testing it, let's just reconfirm there is no file here. Yeah, there is no file. So we'll just test it. Then we can expect some file to be created. Okay, I'm just testing my application. Okay, you can ignore this response because we have a transform data view here. So the same response we will get. But let us see if the file is getting created. Yes, it's file operations write file. Now this output file is getting created. So this is how you can use read file operations and write file operations connector. Okay, so let's just open that file and reconfirm what is the content available in that file. I'm just opening this file with Notepad++. Yeah, this is my new file. Welcome to the MuleSoft file operations demo. This is what we are expecting, right? Because we have configured our write connector with the content like this. So the same content will be created as a new file here, and the output file.txt is the file name which we have configured here. So this is how you can play around with the file operations with the read and write file to read the files or write the file in your local path, local system path. Okay, thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos. And if you are looking for any trainings, online trainings which are in-person trainings, you are always try to you can contact us. At the last end of this video, I will provide a slide with contact details and with the course details which we are going to provide. So you can go through that slide. If you are going to take any online training course among the list, you can directly contact us via WhatsApp or email or LinkedIn or Facebook page, or through YouTube comments. Okay, we are happy to help you. Thank you.